to make sure that people understood what this bill is and what it isn't. The bill does not create the city of South Fulton. The bill gives the people who live in South Fulton an opportunity to decide for themselves how they want to be governed and by whom they want to be governed. Right now, that area is being governed by people who don't live in the area, and as a result of that, they are not sensitive to the needs and the conditions under which people are living in the area. There's several people that will talk today, but there's three areas that I wanted to kind of focus on before I turn the podium over to my colleague, Virgil Flood. And one of them has to do with the school system and the uniqueness of this particular cityhood effort versus some of the others that have taken place. The other efforts did not have a trial period like we've had. We've been functioning as a city for almost 10 years now. The area has we were forced, as you know, to set up a separate tax, a special service tax, that is only being paid by that area. And that money is being used to pay for traditional city services, police, fire, zoning, other issues. And it's the only area that pays that. So we've had a test period to see whether or not the city is functional, whether the city can deal with and somebody else will talk about the financial piece of it, but it's clear that the city is financially solvent and will continue to be so. And when we get our fair share of the sales tax that we're not getting because we're not a city, this will be a very lucrative and potentially beneficial area for many, many people. So that's what we want to make sure that people understand.
My name is LBell, and I'm a retired Delta Airlines captain. And for 37 years, I have been a resident of unincorporated South Fulton County. I've had an opportunity to see many changes, some positive, some negative. And most of that is a result of probably the lack of representation of those who live in the area making decisions for us. Without the ability of the citizens to say something about that, we have had the result of many people leaving the area. But this morning I am excited. I am really encouraged to know that now 122,000 people have the opportunity to govern themselves. 122,000 people will have an opportunity to watch economic development. 122,000 people will have an opportunity now to have a voice in what is done in their area. We would be the 9th largest city in the state of Georgia, and that is exciting. A thank you to everybody who had anything to do with us getting to this point. Now it is up to us, the citizens, that 122,000 people. Now we've got to go to work. We've got to go to the polls and declare that yes, we can. That things are better in South Fulton, that we look forward to the future, and it will be the jewel of Fulton County. Thanks again to everybody involved, and we look forward to you visiting South Fulton because things are better in South Fulton.
Living through the tremendous change in Fulton County governance over the last 10, 15, 20 years ought to be applauded because they've been very, very much engaged. And in fact, they've been the ones that have pushed for the legislation, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years. So they, and I'm sure you'll hear from some of them a little bit later, are deserving of a great deal of applause and some recognition for their work, because it's not just the legislators that did this. And then secondly, I want to point out that there have been any number of meetings that I've attended personally and others that I couldn't, but the overwhelming support that I've seen and heard by the people who live in South Fulton. As I mentioned, I've represented the area for the last 14 years and have been in numerous meetings, large meetings, small meetings, one-on-one conversations, and overwhelmingly, the people in South Fulton have said, in my presence, that they want to have the opportunity to choose their own destiny. Most of them have said they would prefer to be a city, but every one of them deserves an opportunity to at least decide for themselves how they want to be governed. And I'm, as Representative Bruce referred to earlier, I would call on the existing cities to give those people who live in unincorporated South Fulton an opportunity on November 4th to decide for themselves how they want to be governed and allow them to have that opportunity. And I'm convinced, not just by the numbers, but by the sheer will of the people in this community, that they will have a city that is not only vibrant, but also a city that is successful.